of Sherlock Holmes' Christmas Goose. As our play takes place in the 1880s, we ask that you please take this time to turn off any devices that haven't been invented yet, such as cellular phones and music players. Also, please no flash photography. And now, let us take you to Sherlock Holmes' house in London on Boxing Day 1887 to watch the story unfold.
Season's greetings, Holmes. Oh, are you asleep? Sorry.
No, come in, come in.
Are you thinking?
Always, even when I'm sleeping.
Perhaps I interrupt you.
No, not at all. I'm glad to see you. I have a case I'd like to discuss with you.
Another crime?
It's a puzzle. Striking and bizarre one, but no crime. A perfectly trivial matter, really. But interesting.
Does it have anything to do with that old hat?
Very good, Watson, very observant. You, of course, know Commissioner Peterson?
Yes. Is it his hat?
No, he found it. Its owner is unknown.
Well, how did you get it?
It arrived Christmas morning in the company of good fat Goose.
And where's the goose?
At this moment, I assume it's roasting in front of Peterson's fire. But back to the hat. Early Christmas morning, Peterson was coming home from a party, making his way homeward down Tottenham Court Road. In front of him, in the gaslight, he saw a tall man, walking, with a slight stagger, carrying a white goose slung over his shoulder. Then, suddenly, a group of young ruffians came out of the shadows and made for the man. The man raised his stick to defend himself and broke a store window behind him.
How unfortunate.
Peterson rushed to the man's aid, but when the man saw Peterson coming, he dropped the goose, his head fell off, and he ran away.
He probably feared Peterson was rushing to arrest him for breaking the store window.
Most probably. The mystery now is to find the owner and return the hat.
Half the derelicts in London must have such a hat. I'm afraid this mystery will remain unsolved.
There's no such thing as, for me, leaving a case unsolved. The man is probably a Mr. Henry Baker. At least that's the name that was on the card tied to the goose's leg. For Henry Baker. Unfortunately, there are hundreds of Henry Bakers in London.
But the goose may not have belonged to the man who dropped the hat.
It probably did. If you look inside the band, you'll see the initials HB. Henry Baker, of course. Peterson wants me to find the owner. He would have returned the goose as well, but unfortunately, a goose does not keep forever, even in this cold weather. So, Henry Baker, whoever he is, has lost his Christmas dinner.
What do you propose to do?
Observe, my dear Watson. Observe.
What is there to observe? It's just an ordinary hat. Much the worse for wear. The lining is discolored and the initials HB are starting to fade. It's even spotted, although the poor fellow has tried to cover the spots. This hat tells us nothing. Or at least I see nothing.
On the contrary, Watson, you see everything. Fail, however, to reason from what you see. First, we know the man is intelligent.
Good heavens, Holmes, how could you know that?
This is a large hat. A large hat means a large head with a large brain. In addition, this man was once prosperous. This is an expensive hat. Note the band of ribbed silk and fine lining, but it is in terrible condition now, so obviously the man has lost his wealth.
All excellent deductions, Holmes.
Finally, the man seems to be having some trouble with his wife.
Perhaps you're right about the man's former affluence and his brains, Holmes. But how can you tell that his marriage is suffering?
This hat has not been brushed for weeks, and any wife who allows a man to go out in such a state I shall fear is having domestic problems.
He could be a bachelor.
More likely, he is bringing home the goose as a peace offering to his wife. Remember the note upon the goose's leg?
You have an answer for everything, Holmes. But since no crime has been committed, all seems to be rather a waste of time.
Solving a mystery is never a waste of time.
The goose, Mr. Holmes! The goose!
You see, Watson, our mystery is about to develop. Yes, Commissioner? What about the goose?
See here. See what my wife found in its crop.
By Jove, Peterson, this is a treasure.
I think it's a diamond, a precious stone. I tested it. It cut through glass as if it were putty.
It's more than precious stone. It's the precious stone.
Not the Countess of Morcar's blue carbuncle.
Precisely. I read in the Times that it had disappeared, and the Countess is offering £1,000 reward for its return, and that's not even a 20th of its market value.
It was missing, I recall, from the Countess's room at Hotel Cosmopolitan.
Precisely. Ah, here it is. I marked the story. It seems John Horner, a plumber, has been arrested. Remember that name, Watson?
I will indeed.
I wonder why Horner put the stone in the goose's crop.
Perhaps he didn't, Peterson. Let's see. It seems while the Countess was staying at the hotel, some problems occurred in the plumbing. James Ryder, the attendant, called Horner to take care of the problem.
Ryder. I shall remember that name too.
Ryder took Horner to the Countess's room to do his plumbing, and when he returned, Horner was gone, and the Countess's jewelry box, broken and empty, was lying on the bed.
Sounds open and shut.
Nothing, my dear Commissioner, is open and shut. Ryder and the maid, Catherine Kirk, examined the room. The stone was gone. They called the authorities, who searched but found nothing.
Was Horner apprehended?
He was arrested and taken to jail, protesting his innocence all the time.
He didn't, of course, have the jewel.
They searched him and his rooms. Nothing was found.
What do you propose to
Find Henry Baker, the man with the goose.
do? So the mystery is still unsolved.
Exactly. But I now have a plan. Watson, I'd like you to take this advertisement to the Times. Found on the corner of Goose Street, a goose and a black felt hat. Mr. Henry Baker can have the same by applying at 6:30 this evening at 221 E. Baker Street. Got the flush about?
Yes. If he sees the act.
You'll see it. Have it inserted above the help wanted ads, which a man in his condition must be reading.
Good thought.
I shall lock the stone away for security. Look how it gleams. It sparkles. This jewel is the focus and nucleus of a crime. Although it was discovered only 20 years ago, it is already responsible for 1 murder, 2 suicides, and countless robberies. Who would think that such a pretty toy would be the purveyor to the gallows and the prisons? I shall lock it in my strongbox and send a message to the Countess.
Then there's nothing more for me to do for the present.
Yes, there is, Peterson. You have to go out and get another goose to replace the one you've eaten.
I shall. Although it was an excellent bird, I don't think I'll find another as good.
Well, Watson, let us await further developments. Come in, Watson, come in.
Peterson asked me to deliver this goose to you.
Good. Place it on the table.
Tell me, Holmes, how did you know who was knocking on the door just now.
For a well-trained listener, a knock on the door is like a human voice. No two are alike. You have a most distinctive knock.
No response to our advertising, Holmes.
Not yet, but I think we can expect a visitor within minutes.
Good heavens, Holmes, how did you know that?
I saw two men outside the window reading a newspaper. Come in.
Mr. Sherlock Holmes?
Mr. Baker, I assume.
Yes, but how did you know?
You look far too intelligent to be outside in the cold without a hat, if you had a hat. Is this your hat?
Oh, yes, it is. As you can see, it fits my head and my current financial condition.
We've had the goose and the hat for several days now. Why didn't you advertise?
I hadn't the shillings to waste. I thought the ruffians who attacked me had taken them. I'm sorry, this is my acquaintance, Mr. Breckenridge.
A purveyor of geese. You brought him to prove your ownership.
A wise move. He could hardly try on the goose to prove it was his.
The blasted goose. I'm tired of hearing about it.
Where is my goose?
We were compelled to eat the bird. It would have done no one any good if we'd not done so.
But we have another one for you. About the same size and perfectly fresh.
It looks like a fine bird. I'm very grateful. And my wife will be too. She was so annoyed that I had lost our Christmas goose.
We still, of course, have the feathers and the legs and the crop of your bird if you should want them.
No, thank you, sir. I want no reminders of my adventure.
You got the goose from me, if you need any proof. Although now the goose is gone, I can't identify her course.
Do you handle many geese, Mr. Breckenridge?
About 1,000 during the season. But this one has caused me more trouble than all the others put together. Oh, Mr. Baker, that work here is done. Let's be going. I'm losing business, you know.
Just a minute, Mr. Breckenridge. That was an excellent bird. I might be in the market for another one just like it.
Oh, well, see me tomorrow at my shop.
May I be presuming if I asked you where you got the bird?
Yes, you would. I shan't tell you.
Heavens, why not?
It's a matter of no importance, Watson, but I can't understand why a simple question should anger you.
It may be a matter of no importance to you, but I've been pestered about that bird for days. If Mr. Baker weren't an old acquaintance, I wouldn't be here right now. And all pays good money for good articles. That should be the end of the business.
Anger, Walker?
It's the same question. Where are the geese? Who bought the goose? What will you take for the goose? Anybody think it was the only goose in the world? An hour ago a man asked me about it. A little fellow he was with a little wife. And, so nervous it almost made me sweat, cold as it is just to look at him.
I assure you, sir, I have no connections to any other persons making inquiries. I was merely concerned as whether if it was a country bred or a city bred goose. As a matter of fact, I'm willing to bet it was a country bred goose.
Oh, you would you?
Oh, we really should be going. My wife is waiting.
Just for a moment, Mr. Baker. This man here thinks he knows more about birds than what I do. Are you willing to bet that bird was country bred?
That's right. In fact, I'm willing. Got a fiver.
You lose! It was semen!
Just 1 minute, I'd like some proof.
I just haven't with me, Mr. Know-it-all. Well, Mr. Cockshaw, you sees that?
Well?
That there's a list of the folks from whom I buys. And that's a list of those to whom I sell. You see, Henry Baker. And you sees where I bought that bird? Mrs. Oakshott, 117 Brixton Road, 249, right here in the city. And you sees the date, December 22nd. Well, what have you got to say now?
Fine. Here, take your money.
I don't like to take your money, but geese are my business, and you're my goose today.
I really should take my goose and go home.
I'll go along with you. And Mr. Holmes, if you want to do any betting again, you come and see me.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes. You've made this a very Merry Christmas for me.
fellow was rude.
But that's just what I wanted to happen. He would never have shown us that list if he hadn't been a betting man. Not for 10 times what I lost to him.
You didn't know it was a city bird.
Of course I had to know and say otherwise, so I could be sure he would bet. He would not have bet if I had been right.
I guess our next stop is Mrs. Oakshott, the one who sold the bird to him.
I don't think that would be necessary. I think our criminal will find us.
Good heavens, Holmes. Why would he do that?
If he's read the ads, and I'm sure he has, he'll have to come to us for the goose.
Holmes, if I were a betting man, I would lose my bet.
Is this the residence of Mr. Sherlock Holmes?
Yes, it is.
Are you Sherlock Holmes?
No, I'm Dr. Watson. He's Holmes.
You're the man that advertised about the lost goose.
And the hat, too. Don't forget about the hat.
Yes, the hat too. I've come about them both.
Indeed, sir, and who are you?
I am the owner.
Indeed, and what is your name?
Henry Baker. My name was on the goose.
I see that you have another hat, Mr. Baker.
Yes, of course. In this hat, in this weather, I would never go without a hat.
That is good, because we seem to have lost your hat. Pity, it seemed new, too.
Think nothing of it. It's really the goose I've come about.
The goose, sir?
Yes, sir. The goose that you mentioned in your ad. It's the goose I want.
How interesting you should want the goose more than the hat.
Well, the hat probably didn't fit him very well.
That's true. It didn't fit well.
Too large.
Too large.
Oh?
I mean, too small. But forget about the hat. It's really the goose I've come about. And could I have it now, please? I'm rather in a hurry. My old mother and father are waiting for me.
About the goose, Mr. Baker. You see, I'm afraid we may have misplaced...
You haven't lost my goose, have you? I want my goose. I demand it.
Now see here, Mr. Baker, you're being quite rude.
Now, Watson, let's be fair. Mr. Baker's goose was no ordinary goose. In fact, it proved to be a most remarkable bird.
It was?
Yes, it laid an egg after it was dead.
An egg?
The most remarkable egg, the most bonniest and brightest little egg that was ever seen. Are you surprised, Mr. Baker? Or should I say Ryder?
My name is James Ryder.
The attendant from the Hotel Cosmopolitan. And the missing little egg is the diamond taken from the Countess.
I didn't. The maid told me about it.
Oh, the maid? Oh, the old story. The temptation of sudden wealth was too much for you. Oh, here are the makings of a pretty villain in you. You not only took the stone, but you tried to put the blame on Horner, the plumber. You and your confederate, the maid, rifled the jewelry case, took the stone, raised the alarm, and then they had that unfortunate man arrested. You then went on to...
For heaven's sake, have mercy. Think of my mother and my father. It will break their hearts. I've never done wrong before. I'll never do it again. Don't bring me into court, please.
Get back in that chair. It is all very well to beg now, but you thought nothing of placing poor Horner behind bars for a crime you knew nothing about.
Give me a chance, Mr. Holmes. I'll leave the country and hide. Then they'll release Horner. They need my testimony.
We'll consider it. But first, how did the stone get into the goose?
After Horner had been arrested, I had the stone on me, but I was afraid the police would search me.
They should have.
I could think of no place in the hotel I thought would be safe. So I went to my sister's house, pretending I was on errand to get my Christmas goose from her.
And your sister's Mrs. Oakshott.
Yes. She gives me a goose every Christmas. So lets me pick it out.
So you fed the goose the stone. Clever idea.
But there were two exactly alike. I didn't know that until I got the bird home. When I brought it back to my sister, she told me about the two lookalikes.
And the other one had already gone to the goose merchant, Mr. Breckenridge.
I finally saw him about an hour ago, and he told me he had sold it.
Yes, to Mr. Henry Baker.
I thought I was having such good luck when I read your ad in the paper.
But the real Henry Baker had already seen it and come and calling. In fact, he just left with his hat and another goose.
If only I had seen it first.
It wouldn't have done you any good, Ryder. Your head is much too small.
I guess I'm not very smart.
No, you're not. But perhaps you're smart enough never to try something like this ever again. Get out.
What, sir?
I said get out.
Oh, heaven bless you! I'll never...
Not another word. Out.
Good heavens, Holmes. You let the fella go.
Well, I wasn't retained by the police to correct their mistakes, and Horner will be released.
But Holmes...
Now, Watson, it's a Christmas season. It's a time for forgiveness. Which reminds me, I think it's time to investigate another bird. Come, let's have dinner.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Everybody for coming to see our show and supporting Footlight Theatre Company. Footlight Theatre is a non-profit organization providing quality theatre in the Burnaby area for over 56 years now. And we rely heavily on the donations of our patrons to keep our organization going. So there'll be a lovely person, I think Judy's out there at the back, to accept donations as you leave the building. And Phil here suggested that we are going to offer photographs with the cast if you'd like to do that as well. Again, thank you for coming.
Thank you.